Hail to the victors. We are the champions, my friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. That's right. Just like we predicted it on the Big House Breakdown, the Michigan Wolverines are the 2024 college football national champions. Welcome to the Big House Breakdown. I am your host, The Vic. And as you can see, we got some brown liquor because we are going to have a toast to the Michigan Wolverines. Oh, how sweet it is. Yeah, man, we appreciate everybody jumping on. Before we get started, please like, share, and subscribe, comment, share. Turn on your notifications so that when you see the Big House Breakdown come to you through your purview on whatever social media platform you prefer, you can tune in, join in to win, get to it, to do it like we always should. But before we get into the meat of it all, I took some advice from some of our listeners. Some of our listeners said, "Hey, Vic, your introductions are way too long. And then you bog us down with a bunch of advertising." Well, advertising pays the bills, but I found a nice medium, and that medium is this: bring five Michigan or college football fans to the Big House Breakdown show and win a vacation in midwinter 4 days, 3 nights at a luxurious hotel accommodation in the continental United States, Caribbean. That's right, maybe even Fiji, courtesy of Redeem Vacations and the Big House Breakdown. Also, Total Package Energy. Please go support this product. It is all natural product for that 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock crash that we all get sometimes. And like I said, it's all natural. It helps us with those urges to overeat and to over caffeinate ourselves. Um, Olympic tested, people approved. They have gels, they have powders, they have drinks. Go support them. Tell them that the Big House Breakdown and the Real HD TV network sent you there. Go support Total Package Energy. And thanks for joining tonight's episode of the Big House Breakdown. And you can find the Big House Breakdown coming to you every week, every Friday night, 6 p.m. And we usually blast off from about 5 Facebook channels, including the AJ James page, the Real HD Show page, the RCTV WXIR page, and the Dirty Clean page. You can find us there. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitch. You can find us on Twitter. And you can find us on Instagram. And I'm not going to hold you guys anymore. I'm going to take one more swig. You're going to see me swigging throughout I got my goblet. You know what I'm saying? Oh, how sweet it is. And we told you, man. And the Told You So segment of the show is coming up very, very soon because we told you guys all season long about what the Michigan Wolverines were going to do to college football. College football wasn't quite ready for what the Wolverines had to offer, and we just had to stomp a mud hole in the rest of the league in order for you guys to get the drama or get the purpose and the point and the majesty that is your 2023/24 national college football champions, the Michigan Wolverines. That's right, headlined by J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, Colston Loveland, um, Roman Wilson, and a spectacular defense of many, which we will talk about tonight ad nauseum. Please join us. Join us with your love. Join us with your energy. Join us with your comments. We need you. We got some interesting things coming up. We just don't have a game breakdown. We have some categories and um, some composite areas that we want to talk about with you, and some special things we want to bring up with you. But we want you to get on board with this ride. Join us. Let's get to it. Do it. We are the Big House Breakdown. Okay, here we go. It's talking. Oh, how sweet it is. That's right. It is so sweet because Michigan is your 2023 national champions. Couldn't really grasp that at first because I suffered through the chicken pox with these cats, with these Michigan dudes. Um, to come that far, I'm kind of dating myself a little bit. To come that far to where we are is oh so sweet. We've always, you know, we've never quite did the Matthew Henson thing and scaled the mountaintop. We've always been around the mountain, through the mountain, over the mountain, never on top, never on the mountain top. But we are right now. So how sweet it is. And I'm gonna take another sip. I'm gonna be lit by the time this program is over. Ride with us, everybody on Twitter, everybody on Twitch, everybody on YouTube that supported the Big House Breakdown and my various videos throughout the season. Raise a glass. Our A2 crew stand up with some brown liquor. Our Michigan Wolverines have gotten it done in 2023. Um, and let's go back to Ish talking because we got a lot to talk about. And I'm gonna try to be as, you know, visceral as possible so that we don't prolong these things. Okay. So let's get into it. NCAA and Big Ten. Um, we give an NCAA and a Big Ten side eye. For sure, for sure. You know what? Let's put that in a banner. Um, let's put side eye. Right. Let's put NCAA and Big Ten. Because I think they instigated a monkey see, monkey do parade that I think they put together a monkey see, monkey do parade that almost sunk Michigan's ship. They got everybody to buy in. They wanted to stone Socrates before his message was fully out. That's for us nerds. So they get the side eye. You know what I'm saying? Who else gets the side eye? In our crap talking segment, man. A lot of people get the side eye. How about Pat McAfee? Yeah, man. Let's talk about that clown, Pat McAfee. Let's put him in here. He gets the side eye. Why does Pat McAfee get the side eye? Because I remember right before the Nebraska game, and they knew Nebraska had no chance in hell of beating Michigan, but they were acting like Nebraska was going to whoop our tail. They were acting like Nebraska was going to take us behind the woodshed. And all year long, all this fool and his podcasts of people did was placate to the white pony of it all. And every opponent that we had was going to be the savior. Every opponent that we had was going to be better than Michigan. Every quarterback was better than Michigan's quarterback. Every situation was doom and gloom for the Michigan Wolverines of 2023. And all we did was surpass your bumpkin crap analysis all season long. Okay, what else? What else is What else gets the side eye? So we could show how sweet it is. Um, People complaining about Michigan's weak schedule. That's all you heard all year long. Michigan never played anybody. Michigan hadn't played nobody. Wait till Michigan plays somebody. Wait till Michigan plays the heavy hitters. They haven't played anybody with a winning schedule. They haven't played anybody with a winning quarterback. They haven't played anybody with a ba 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 da da da. All we did was come through the gauntlet smelling like roses. So everyone that was crying about Michigan's weak schedule can tickle these nuts. Um, who else? What else was going on? The cheating scandal, Cheatergate and Burgergate, right? All concocted stories. Right? I'm trying to write this out as we talk. Cheatergate and Burgergate, all concocted stories to try to weaken the efficacy and weaken the strength of what Michigan was doing and what Michigan was attempting to do with their season by suspending our coach for bogus infractions that, by the way, were never proven. But because of the politics of it all, Michigan decided not to hurt the players, but to bend the knee to the NCAA and the Big Ten. Tony Petitti didn't even want to give Harbaugh the trophy and look him in the eye. He didn't want to look Michigan fans in the eye at the airport. Come on, man. Y'all got to do better than that. NCAA and Big Ten administration, right? And then, of course, you heard what just came out a little earlier today, or maybe even yesterday, the statement by the NCAA officers and board about Michigan is basically exonerated of their wrongdoings or supposed wrongdoings, alleged wrongdoings. Isn't that interesting how we were all of a sudden exonerated once we won? But you're gonna put every booby trap. It's almost like going into the, mystery pyramid, and every step you go and every level high or low you go, there's another booby trap waiting for you. Ain't that something? Ain't that somehow all the booby traps stopped happening once Michigan won the national championship? And the NCAA doesn't want to lose out on all that good Michigan fan base money, all that good national endorsement money because a blue blood won the national championship. Isn't that oh so interesting? What else are we talking about while we're ish talking? Zero State and their private eyes, right? So there's a rumor that Ohio State hired private eyes, um, a private investigation firm to take Michigan through the paces and find what they can find, so they can, you know, deny Michigan the opportunity to be in the postseason. Because that's all this was about. They thought they were going to have quid pro quo. They thought they were going to just march Michigan through the gauntlet and um, get them disqualified from postseason play. But once we beat the best of the best, the top of the 10, as it were, Zero State can also tickle these nuts. All right. What else do we got as far as ish talking is concerned? And put it in the chat, man. If you got something you want to ish talk about in terms of what happened to Michigan this season, let us know. Oh, how about how underrated everybody thinks JJ McCarthy is? That's another ish talking comment that needs to die with the elimination of Cheatergate and Burgergate. That notion needs to die off too. So, in other words, if JJ McCarthy threw 200 times less than Michael Penix and still put up decent numbers, 20 touchdowns on the season, 3 rushing touchdowns on the season, actually more than 20 throwing touchdowns on the season. He's more like 22, 23 throwing touchdowns on the season. If you're including the playoffs and the championship game. So we need to put that to bed. And I hope JJ McCarthy comes back one more year so he could flamethrow on y'all and show y'all that that cannon is on fire. Okay? So we in our ish talking segment. How about the Harbaugh suspension for 6 games? Wouldn't it cute that the first 3 games were self-imposed during our cupcake schedule, right? The first three games we had of the year. And then it was the toughest 3 games of our season. Now, if that doesn't spell out what a tough veteran championship team that we had, I don't know what does. And how much Harbaugh's philosophy is interwoven through the locker room, through those seniors, and what Michigan does as a program. And every team was better. That's another ish talking segment. Every team, according to y'all crap analysis, y'all announcers and y'all media people, every team was better miraculously. Just out of the blue, everybody was better. Everybody was, gonna beat Michigan until they played Michigan. And then all that crap went away. So we giving a side eye to a bunch of things that took place in the 2023 season to divert Michigan from their ultimate goal of winning a natty, right? Michigan is on its way to win a natty. And what's bad about it is that these young men that COVID seniors, right? So we're talking 5th year, 6th year seniors that worked so hard to come back. I'm talking about the Zach Zinners, the Blake Corums, the, everybody that worked so hard. CJ Johnson, so many people, too many people to note. Trevor Keegan, even though Keegan has more eligibility, everybody that made the effort that could have moved on and went to the pros, I believe it was like 9 seniors that could have moved on, but they didn't. They stayed with the team. They made the team mature. They made the team better. And their wisdom and veteran leadership was the equivalent of having a gang of 5-star players. So even though Alabama wants to roast and hoist their 5-star players to anybody that'll listen, Michigan had their own 5-star players in their veteran team. Mike Sanderstill and company were there to get it done. Yeah, man. So that was our ish talking segment, man. Let us know what you think. What do you want to complain about, or what do you want to gloat about in our ish talking segment? You know what I mean? Because how sweet it is that the Michigan Wolverines accomplished what they accomplished, despite the odds, despite the destruction campaign that was waged against them, despite the suspensions to their head coach, despite all of the things that they had to endure, they persevered and won the 2023 FBS College Football Championship. So we move on, man. We move on to our championship game review. So let's get into it. Michigan Wolverines defeat the Washington Huskies, number 1 and number 2. Air Raid meets Smash Mouth. And oh, what a Smash Mouth game that was. because right off rip, Donovan Edwards missed the strike, and lightning in a bottle himself, ripped off two really great runs to open up the game. And in the I Told You segment, I predicted in my Rose Bowl review that if Donovan Edwards could give us anything in this championship game, that Washington would not be able to handle us. I did say that. And of course, all Blake Corum wound up doing was 21 attempts, 131 yards, and 2 scores himself. Very, very impressive. JJ McCarthy was 10 of 18. He had 31 rushing yards himself, including that big scamper in the fourth quarter to kind of bring Michigan to a scoring drive that ended the game. Khalil Mullings and Alex Orji got in the game, dragging Washington defenders all over the field, and we kind of hit them with a rushing attack that was almost like a spread receiving attack because we spread the ball around to so many people. 5 different backs, including JJ McCarthy, touched the ball in the winning rushing effort for Michigan. Washington's best running back only had 33 yards. Michael Penix was 27 for 51 attempts. I'll say that again. 27 for 51. If an NFL quarterback did that, you guys will be ready to get rid of him. Let's just put that in perspective. He had 1 touchdown that was kind of a blown coverage by Mikey Sanders still. And he had 2 picks. The 2 picks that came was, of course, the Mikey Sanders still interception in the fourth quarter, by which he ran it back 80 yards and put Michigan in scoring position to ice the game. That's why that was like so very important. And then Will Johnson on the sideline with the circus act catch that he, bobbled a couple times, but ultimately came down with inbounds. Best corner in college football, pound for pound, Will Johnson, number 2 on the Michigan Wolverines. But you know what? We had some receivers that got in the act as well. And let's compare that because that's interesting, right? Because Washington's receivers were supposed to be so much better. But let's look at what they were able to do collectively, shall we? Now, keep in mind, Roman Wilson had 13 touchdowns on the season as of this point. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean he got another one, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't as good as Rome Odunze, as Polk, or McMillan. And McMillan turned out to be the only one that got an actual score on that. Mikey Sanders still happened not to flip his hips the way he was supposed to, or he would have walked into his second interception of the day in the end zone. But they got the score. But let's look at these receiving yards by these dudes that are supposed to be so great, so vaunted, so excellent, and they're supposed to be drafted first round and so on and so forth. Let's compare, shall we? Rome Odunze's longest reception was 44 yards. Well, let's take a look. Colston Loveland's longest reception was 41 yards. I thought Rome Odunze was supposed to be this like super duper wide receiver. And he did it on less. And Colston Loveland got the 41-yard pass reception on less targets. Westover had a 12-yard long reception. C.J. Johnson had a 10-yard long reception. Polk had a 15-yard long reception. That was his longest of the night. But Roman Wilson's was almost 40 yards. Interesting. So Michigan's receivers and Washington's receivers were step for step in the game. They weren't much difference in the group. Matter of fact, they got more targets. Colson Leveland had 4. Roman Wilson had 4. CJ Johnson had 7. Tyler Morris had 1. Samaj Morgan had 2. So you're talking about less actual targets per player for Michigan players, but more and better results. Things that make you go, right? So now let's go and let's talk about D, right? Let's talk about some defense, right? As soon as I can get those statistics up, I will put those out there for you. And we know what defense we're talking about. We're talking about that Michigan defense. Oh, one more thing before we get off of offense, right? So we know that Blake and Donovan and Khalil Mullins was banging that Washington defense all around, but it was only courtesy of that really good Joe Moore, a winning, 2-time Joe Moore, a winning offensive line, by which we returned many starters who probably should have won it again this year if it wasn't for Zach Zinter getting hurt. And I think they felt some type of way, man. I think they had like some sort of like chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? And they had to go out there and prove that they were the better unit. Now let's take a look at defense. The only sack for the defensive line came by way of Baby Hulk, what I like to call him, Kenneth Grant. If you saw him bench press that guard from Washington, pancake him, and then jump in the face of Michael Penix for the sack, man. After that, Michael Penix was like, yo, that's when you see him start the clutching and the grabbing and the wincing and the, all of that, all of the injury-based stuff. You saw that after, the Kenneth Grant sack where he treated, Penix like a rag doll. Mikey Sanders still, who should have been the MVP, had 6 tackles. Josiah Stewart had 4. Junior Colson had 4. Michael Barrett had 4. Wallace, Grant, Page, Johnson, Moore, and Graham all got in with excellent, defensive symmetry, defensive energy, and defensive cohesion that led to that victory. The one thing that stood out more than anything in that game is that our offensive line was like 8 times better. Our offensive and defensive line was head and shoulders better than Washington's. And I said that to you guys in my preview of the game because I said if Michigan can get their duo, their split zone duo going like they did, like almost like how Texas had Washington blocked but refused to continue to run the ball, Michigan would run all over Washington. And they did, to the tune of 300 plus rushing yards. And all JJ did was make the throws that needed to be made. Was he a game manager? Absolutely not, because he had that long 30-yard run in the middle of the field, in the middle of the fourth quarter, that that iced the game. I don't call that game management. You have to actively be involved with the game in order to ice the game. And if you're just tuning in to the Big House Breakdown, This is a championship edition of the Big House Breakdown because the Michigan Wolverines are your 2024 college football national champions, and we are in the middle of the championship game review. So we said Michael Penix was 27 for 51. So we had 51 attempts, did little less than half, did a little more than half, but you could tell he was just off. Swing passes weren't on target, timing routes weren't on target, fade routes weren't on target, and that was all due to the get after your ass nature of the Michigan defensive line. I'm talking about Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Chris Jenkins, Josiah Stewart, Derek Moore, McGregor, Jalen Harrell. They got after Michael Penix to the point where in the fourth quarter, he is holding himself, tapping his pads. He is going through hella pain, hella discomfort because of what that secondary did, which locked up his receivers, one, and two, what the defensive line of Michigan did to make that game a victory. Oh, how sweet it is. Cheers, celebrate with me, won't you? Let's get back to it. So, we're going to enter our Told You So segment on the Big House Breakdown. So if you went back and you watched most of my videos, you can go on the Real HD Show page on YouTube and go to my lives. If you can't find it on the actual channel head, because sometimes they don't put the lives directly on there unless you upload them. But you can catch all my episodes where I did all my pregame analysis, not crap analysis like you see at the bottom, but all my great pregame analysis. I told you weak links on every one of these teams. I told you the weak link on Washington was their center and their right tackle. But our defensive line was so ferocious. I remember Kenneth Grant basically bench pressing that guard from Washington, throwing him to the ground and sacking Michael Penix. So the Joe Morrow winning deep offensive line never faced our defensive line. And even though none of our receivers got in the end zone, they had some pretty big gains. And they got some of those gains on number 25, Elijah Jackson, just like I mentioned it. Even we got some on Muhammad, and I remember Muhammad getting hurt during the game and having to go out. But he came back in, but he got hurt. And that's football is a war of attrition, a war of loss, a war of, people getting hurt and enduring during the season. So I think that some of those injuries are a result of a very, very, very long season culminating last Monday night. And I also scouted in my pregame and said that if Michigan could run their split zone duos, we would be successful in this game because Texas gave you the blueprint. Not only Texas gave you the blueprint, but Utah gave you the blueprint. Not only did Utah give you the blueprint, Arizona gave you the blueprint about how to beat Washington, or at least have them close. Oregon as well. Bama, if you remember the Bama game, I told you that Jalen Key, the transfer, who was number 6, the safety, was sus. I told you that they'd have their way with Malachi Moore. And Roman Wilson winds up scoring. I told you that Roman Wilson would also have a bigger impact on that game than all of the crap analysis that you're hearing from the talking media bobbleheads. And he wound up having a bigger game than everybody prognosticated. What's up with your crap analysis now? Now, I know that the Bama game probably seemed like um, the championship game because it went to overtime and it was so much emotion and pride and passion that went into that game, especially the way that Michigan drove down the field and iced it. Um, but I told you about Bama's weak links. I also told you about Bama's youth and how Bama's youth would entice them into mistakes. It would romance them into mistakes. I'm a 5-star. Look at my name on the back of my jersey. I'm an important player. They forgot to play the game. All right. And I also told you that the right and the left side of that offensive line was young. And I said Michigan would have their way with them. And what happened? 7 sacks, 10 tackles for a loss was the outcome to what your man Vic prognosticated about the Rose Bowl and the Bama game. Penn State, same thing. I said they had some issues on their offensive line. And I also scouted that all that crap that they did in the backfield, where they got like 4 and 5 players in the backfield and they're going east to west instead of north to south. I said that's going to get them killed. And what happened? Michigan had hella tackles for a loss versus Penn State, or I should say Rape State, right? Then, of course, you had the McAfees of the world. You had the Feinbaums of the world. I forgot Feinbaum in our Ish Talking segment. Feinbaum could get these nuts too, because he was another Michigan hater. Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, all y'all Michigan haters can get the nuts. Anyway, nobody predicted that we would shut out Iowa. Shut them out. I know their offense was terrible, but that's what happens to terrible offenses. You get nothing. Like my man Johnny Olsen said, you get nothing. You get shut out. Best halftime adjustment coaching group around. And then, of course, Zero State game. We iced it versus them. All I can remember is Mason Graham doing a spin move on one of those weak linemen that I told you were a problem for Zero State. And he was within a step of sacking Kyle McCord, but rocked that clock. Put McCord down. And I think that hit, which was somewhere mid second quarter, mid third quarter, Kyle McCord didn't want no more part of the physicality of what the game offered. He was done after that. That 300-pounder coming at you, putting you flat on your back was I told you so. I said Michigan would have their way with stunts and movement on our defensive line. They will clear weak links on Ohio State's offensive line, and Michigan would take advantage of those things. Go back and watch these reviews. Please give me a like, a thumbs up, a subscribe for the I told you so moments that all 5 of these games, which was the gauntlet of the harder teams that we had to play in our schedule. And I said Michigan's D-line and DBs would tear these dudes apart outside of the crap analysis that was offered. That's right, crap analysis. You didn't hear them talk about weak links on the opposite team. You didn't hear them talking about weak points. You didn't hear them talk about strategy. All they talked about was making these teams larger than life in the case that they could beat our good Michigan Wolverines. So give your brother some love. Give your brother some, help a brother out, right? The HBO special, help a brother out. Like, share, and subscribe what you're listening to, because I told you guys what was going to happen from a straight coaching, scouting, analysis standpoint. I saw the weak points in these teams. And I said Michigan would attack these things. I said Jesse Minter, who's an NFL guy. NFL is much more about matchups than it is, the collective aggregate teams. And I said Michigan's defense would get after these teams. And I think all of these teams averaged about 2 turnovers apiece. Some of them translated into points, some of them did not. The long and the short of it is, I was right on many, many things. Go check out the replay on these shows and get your fill, be fulfilled, and leave the crap analysis behind. You know the crap analysis, the Stephen A. Smith, the Paul Feinbaum, the Joel Klatt, the Josh Pate, the R.J. Young. Leave the crap analysis behind. You don't need it. Just listen to the Big House Breakdown. You'll get everything you need, all things Michigan football. And we're not just homers here. We are, but we're not just, right? We're going to give you a balanced and a thorough analysis of everybody that we play so that you guys know what they have going on and what we have going on, what we can what we can look forward to as far as another team's strengths and weaknesses, what our strengths and weaknesses are. And unfortunately, there weren't much for us, but plenty for other teams. That's why we beat that ass. All right. So we're going to get into a section called Crown 'em Kings. Now, why am I doing this section? Because the Michigan Wolverines are your 2024-2023 National FBS champions. And it happens to be the last time before they go to the playoff, 12-team playoff format. And what's so special about this group is they flew under the radar. So I think in terms of what they were, they didn't get much fanfare except for all of the scandals. The scandals kind of robbed this unit of its greatness and its accolades throughout the course of the year. You heard about J.J. McCarthy. You heard about Blake Corum. Those are our outstanding talents on offense. And then you heard about how good our defense is. Kind of no name, right? No star, but collectively one bright ass star, right? But we want to give some awards and we want to give some love to those who, weren't so celebrated by the national media, who are near and dear to Michigan Wolverine fans. And we want to crown them kings because they were excellent during the year and they deserve their roses. So we're gonna put them up here as we talk about them. And we're gonna let you know what they are. Some categories are not, some categories are just fun categories, and some categories are just ways to prop our players up and give them love when no one else will. So crown them kings. Here we go. Crown them kings. All right. So who do we want to crown kings first? So first we want to crown kings to the team MVP. Who is our team MVP? Meaning who is our most valuable player? And I'll do one offense and one defense. Okay. So, contrary to popular belief, I do think J.J. McCarthy is probably the most talented Michigan quarterback that we've probably ever had. I don't know about the best because I've been around for a lot of Michigan quarterbacks. I'm talking about Harbaugh. I'm talking about Tom Brady. I'm talking about Chad Henne. Many great Michigan quarterbacks. Denard Robinson. What do you call that? What's my man name there? War 98. Devin Gardner. So many Wilton Spate, so many good, great Michigan quarterbacks. So to say he's the greatest Michigan quarterback, I don't know about that. Maybe talented. I'll go with talented because he can kill you. You know, it's death by 1,000 cuts with JJ. JJ could do a little bit of all of it. He'll even truck you if you're not paying attention. So I'll go with a team MVP is Blake Corum. Blake the Rock Corum. That's what we're gonna call him. And the reason why he's the Rock, right? The reason why I consider him a rock, right, is the fact that Blake would um Blake would definitely he was automatic in the end zone. It's almost like he knew what we needed when we needed it and provided it. And whenever he sniffed end zone this season with 20 almost 27 touchdowns rushing the ball, um, or collectively throughout all his accomplishments throughout the season, you see that Blake Corum was as solid as they come. Ferocious even. You know, you get him in pass pro and he is rocking any inline blitzer. He's going out and catching passes, which was a really unique game side of his game that we kind of featured. Um, so our team offensive MVP was Blake Corum. Um, Now defensive MVP, I'm gonna give that to Mike Sanders though. Now that this was a hard pick because there was so many good people, so many dope like and if I spelt your name wrong, Mike Sanders still don't get mad with me, man. I'm doing the best I can. Um so offensively it was Blake. Defensively, I'm gonna say Mike. Why? Because Mike had all those interceptions. And a lot of them led to straight points, like the Michigan State game and the Rutgers game, and so many performances. Even the last game against Washington, picked the ball off in the fourth quarter to ice the game. How could you not make that man your defensive MVP? He's the one who rocked Travion Henderson. Come on now. He came up, man. They was trying to run a little dump off in the RPO of it all. And Mikey said, we not having none of it. We not having none of it. Lowered the boom that put 32 down. Um, I think that changed the complexion in the game. I think that let Ohio State know that we not here for no crap. We here to ball. We here to be physical. If y'all not here to be physical, if y'all here to look pretty and put on Gucci cleats or Louis cleats or whatever y'all got, y'all could do that on your own time. We here to win games. You know what I'm saying? We here to be physical. We here to wear that maize and blue, right? Y'all on our field. We gonna bring that boom boom, right? So that I would give our team MVP on offense, Blake Corum. Team MVP on defense, Mike Sanders. Let us know in the comments who are your team MVPs. Okay. But let's get back to crowning them kings. We're going to crown them kings tonight. Okay. So who else do we got? Best D line in college football. Well, I think we know the answer to that. I'm writing this out as we speak. Best D line in FBS college football is the Michigan Wolverine defensive line, led by the anchor himself, Mason Graham. Um, Seconded by Kenneth Grant and Chris Jenkins, and Cam Good and Rajon Benny, who I hope gets healthy because we're gonna need him next year. Best D line in FBS goes to the Michigan Wolverines. Let me put the S on the Wolverines, and then I'll show it one more time. Do you guys think that Michigan is the best defensive line in college football? I happen to believe that. If you think it's Georgia, if you think it's Bama, you don't have the stats to prove it, but dream on, dream away. Best defensive line in FBS is the Michigan Wolverines. Crown them kings. Okay. So we moving on. We're gonna go to the Mouth of Moda Award. I told you some of these would be funny. The Mouth of Moda Award. Okay. So that's to the player or coach who talked a lot during the season to their detriment. And I got two players, a player and a coach. One was um, the offensive coordinator, Shmar Moore, right? And Samaj Morgan. I mean, you would have thought after the Iowa game that this dude was playing since, forever and a day. You gave that dude the mic and Samaj Morgan went off. Go back and listen to those interviews after the Iowa game, after the what was it? It was another game too. That dude is ferocious with the mouth. And of course, Sharon Moore after the Penn State game with the filth, flooring filth. With the filth, flooring filth of it all. You know what I'm saying? I love you, Harbaugh. Right? That was cool. That was cool. I ain't gonna knock them for that. But those two get the Mouth of Moda Awards. All right. Crown them kings. Okay, what's next? The Blind, Cripple, and Crazy Player Award. Okay. So this is the Blind, Cripple, and Crazy Player Award. Okay. Now, what does that mean? That means that this player would not be denied. He would not leave the field. He would not call out or be sick or miss a game. And that's going to go to Junior Colson. Okay. Now, why do you say that? Because your boy had two broke hands and still managed to play. Still managed to play. Honorable mention to the Blind, Cripple, and Crazy Award goes to Mason Graham because he was Thanos for most of the year with the one hand. But Junior Colson had both of his hands broken, and still led the team in tackles, which was absolutely out of control. So big up to them. Crown him king. Crown him king. Crown him king. Okay, here we go. Champions, right? So we got the most underrated FBS quarterback award, and we know that goes to JJ McCarthy. And the reason I say that is because of the crap analysis that we experienced throughout the entire season. Whereas I don't know what they were looking at, because JJ was he was flame throwing all season long and needs to be acknowledged for it. Now, just because he didn't put up Michael Penix numbers doesn't mean that he didn't do his damn thing out there. So the underrated QB award goes to J.J. McCarthy. And you might be asking, well, why aren't we seeing any pictures or any videos of these players? Why? Because it was all about the team, the team, the team. And we don't want to, have their shine be so exalted that we lose point in the fact that the Michigan Wolverines, as a team, as the best team in college football, won the national championship. So we're in the middle of a Crown 'em Kings moment, right? And we're giving out these awards. So we have most underrated quarterback, JJ McCarthy. Here we go. The Better Late Than Never award. And I think y'all got a hint at who I'm going to give this one to. The Better Late Than Never award. And that one goes to Donovan Edwards, the Don, right? Finally showing up, had a lot of turmoil this season, was pressing a lot this season, didn't see it. Was mad that he didn't see it, was mad that he wasn't getting his name and his number called as much as it was the season before. So the Better Late Than Never award goes to Donovan Edwards. Why? Because he showed up and gave us such an edge in the national championship. So the Better Late Than Never award goes to Donovan Edwards. Absolutely. Let us know if you got a Better Late Than Never admission for the Crown 'em King segment. Who was better late than never? I have another Better Late Than Never admission to this lineup, or at least he was nominated for the award from the Big House Breakdown production crew. Trente Jones. We had a lot of problems with pass protection, and we had a lot of problems with speedy edge rushers on the right side of our offensive line, sacking JJ McCarthy. And a lot of that stuff is, symmetry. It's you block, you drop back. It's all a rhythmic experience and an on time, efficient experience on how you get the offense moving. And Trente Jones, when Zinser went down, Trente Jones, Barnhart kicked in the guard. Trente Jones went out to right tackle. And seemed like we gave us a little bit of an athletic edge there, where Barnhart may not have been as fleet of foot and combination of strength and fleet of foot. Because we know the cat could block, man. I mean, because as soon as we put him in that guard, he's pancaking people on third and short, fourth and short. He's not playing with nobody. But Trente Jones was nominated for the Better Late Than Never award. But unfortunately, Donovan Edwards won it with his heroics in the last game of the season. When we needed him the most, he showed up like lightning in a bottle and scored 2 runaway touchdowns on split zone duos. And it was magnificent, glorious, as the coach likes to say. So that would be that award. We're going to do another award called the Pancake Award. And the Pancake Award goes to Drake Nugent. Now, why do I say that? Michigan has been in a lot of fourth and shorts, third and shorts. And he was he wasn't the center that we had from a year ago. But who was the Outland winner? But boy, can that dude run block. And he was a transfer that came in. Transfers usually struggle. And I seen him go down in the Iowa game with a leg injury or ankle injury, got back in the game, was very, very stout, was brolic, in fact. So the Pancake Award goes to Drake Nugent. Why? Because I always see him. And if you watch the replay of the Washington game, you'll see him driving people 3 and 4 and 5 yards down the field. Um, absolutely, just crazy with it. Um, and then let me jet right into the next award because it's the bench press award. Now I have two candidates for the bench press award. Actually three, and they're all on the D line of Michigan. One bench press award goes to Josiah Stewart. Um, in the Alabama game, on the last play of the game, Josiah Stewart bench presses the lineman or the blocker from Bama, um, while setting the edge and contributing to making that last tackle on Jalen Milroe. And I mean, you could see it. You could see his hand fully extended. You could see him holding the edge, bench pressing this dude, and keeping him away from protecting Milroe. So Josiah Stewart gets the bench press award. Also, um, Jalen Harrell gets the bench press award. I hope I'm spelling his name right. And also, who's the other one on the defensive line? Oh, Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant in the Washington game. Hope I'm spelling Kenneth Grant. Hope I'm spelling that right. He bench pressed that guard to get into the you know, the midline of the, basically push the pocket and get in the quarterback's face in a hurry. So the bench press award goes to Crown them Kings, Josiah Stewart, Jalen Harrell, Kenneth Grant. Crown them kings of college football with the bench press award. And there was probably many, many more. I'm sure there was a bunch of Zach Zinter moments, Trevor Keegan moments where they just bullied people off the field. But we're used to seeing them do that. We're not used to seeing our defensive ends and our interior people just bench press people. Also, honorable mention goes to Mason Graham for busting through the Minnesota line and tackling the running back for a loss and busting through the Alabama line and tackling their running back for a loss. So he didn't quite bench press them, but he certainly, was super disruptive. So that's our bench press award. Crown them kings. All right, here we go. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger award. Okay. I'm gonna try to abbreviate you. What doesn't kill makes you stronger award. And that goes to Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore. Because boy, did they try to get our team this year. They tried to put us under the dirt without a funeral or an autopsy. They tried to bury Michigan football, but it didn't happen. We persevered. We went through it. So what doesn't kill you make you stronger award goes to Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore. Jim Harbaugh for being out 6 games, the first 3 games of the year, which is almost crazy. You almost can never have a great season if you don't have your head coach in your first 3 games. We were veteran and mature enough to handle that. And in your toughest 3 games of the season, your coach gets suspended for that too. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger award goes to those two. Crown them kings of the college football world. We're almost done with the awards. Lightning in a bottle. Um, you might think that would go to um Donovan Edwards, and rightly so. I mean, he, Penn State, um, what was it, Indiana, I believe it was, where he scored, and also the two times in the championship game. Um, but we're gonna give this to Samaj Morgan. Anybody forget that screen that he did where he ran over like three people and still made it in the end zone? And how about the back shoulder throw by J.J. McCarthy to Samaj Morgan? How about the punt return by Samaj Morgan? How about the um, end around or speed option play to Samaj Morgan? Lightning in a Bottle award goes to Samaj Morgan for his quick twitch, quick witted plays that really made a difference and was kind of unscripted, but really aided the team at a time when we needed something. Because usually the lightning in a bottle is Donovan Edwards, and he wasn't as consistent as he normally is. And then Samaj came through with the counter unscripted performances that the other team just didn't scout for. You couldn't have scouted for Samaj Morgan impact, both as a receiver and as a runner, a kick returner. He did so much, and of course, you know, he had his problems in the Rose Bowl. He's a young dude. That's gonna happen. But for the most part of the year, your man was ice cold. So the lightning in the bottle award goes to Samaj Morgan. Hey, share this with a friend. Tell them that the big house breakdown is on. And last but not least, the never ever 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 do that again award goes to Thaw, our kick returner. And not that I'm hating on the young man, but sometimes, and he apologized on Twitter and he apologized in the national media. Um, but he was in a moment, and he made up for it in the moment. But of course, that sort of a, you know, error cannot be understated or overstated. So, so the Don't You Ever award goes to Thaw, our kick returner. Now, I think he'll be fine over time. He just needs to kind of settle down, remember his keys as a kick returner. He really should have moved out of the way and let that ball bounce into the end zone. Um, just subtleties like that over time, practiced over time. The problem was that our Jay Harbaugh, the problem was we never settled on a punt returner all season long. We were auditioning all season. And that's bad because then you can't get one person back there used to what they're doing, used to contributing, used to doing things in a cohesive way. They understand the blocking, they understand the culture of the position, and they make the right call in the right game situation. So don't you ever award. Don't you ever like Chris Tucker. Don't you ever goes to Thor. Now I don't want him to transfer. I said that at one point. I don't want him to transfer. Um, I do want because I'm a coach. I'm not about crucifying young people who make mistakes. Just on that sort of stage, gosh, that was crazy. Let us know what you think. Let us know. Do you have any creative awards that you could crown our team kings with? Now let's jump into unsung heroes. Now I'm gonna do this pretty fast. Um, Only because we were a deep team this year. So deep, in fact, that our quarterback, I guess 5 to 6 games of this year, didn't even play in the fourth quarter. That's how deep we were. and we were beating the brakes off of every team we played, so much to the fact that our quarterback, um, he could have been like the Bo Nix and the Michael Penix and the Jaden Daniels of the world with, 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns and all of the cutesy stuff. But he wanted to win a national title. He didn't want to win a Heisman. He said, I could care less about that. He had his mantra, that letter he wrote to Michigan people, to the A2 crew when he came here. He's like, take 3 deep breaths and realize that everybody here, including the fans, are doing everything possible to win at Michigan football. So let's talk about some depth and some unsung heroes. First unsung hero comes to mind is Zach Zinter. He got hurt, of course. The leg was ruptured, and it galvanized the team so much in a game that could have swung. The momentum was could have swung in that instance, but it galvanized the team. It put a battery in our backs, and we went out there and we did our thing. So Zach Zinter is one of our unsung heroes because, of course, he didn't get to play in the Rose Bowl or the championship game. Rajon Benny, that's another one that got hurt and didn't get to play. But who will forget during the Penn State game when Rajon Benny comes running full speed and puts his helmet right on Drew Aller, and Drew Aller coughed that ball up. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And it was right on time. It was so fine. It was so sublime and so right on time that Michigan took advantage of it and helped us ice the game with another interception. I believe we had 2 turnovers in that game. And it gave us the ball back. It gave a running offense the ball back to milk the clock more, which was awesome. That really helped flip the field. And Rajon Benny has been a quality depth piece for Michigan at that 3 tech, giving Chris Jenkins a blow all year long, keeping our people fresh, getting valuable experience on his own. Big up to Rajon Benny, one of the unsung national champions. Another unsung national champion, Keon Sabb. Keon Sabb had so many interceptions this year. I believe it was 3. I believe it was either 2 or 3. And he, of course, was an unsung hero. Why? Because he's not a starter. And for a little ways into the tougher games of the season, you really didn't see him as much. You started seeing McBurrows. You started seeing a little bit more of Josh Wallace. You didn't really get to see Keon Sabb as much. You saw a lot of Quentin Johnson, who's another unsung hero. So let's put Keon Sabb and Quentin Johnson in the same category. 2 DBs that could have been starters on any Big Ten team, but was a valuable, super valuable depth pieces to the Michigan championship run. So we're gonna call them unsung heroes. And McBurrows, right? Sub corner. And who will forget what he did versus Ohio State when he shoved the receiver back into the backfield, which stopped the play that I believe Ohio State had a lot of momentum on. But he was just so damn physical. And it reminded me of that, how they push the weight sled and they start their practices with that, or that's a pivotal part of a lot of their practices. It shows me that a DB in McBurrows probably gained a lot from that throughout the season. And it was a really great, great unsung hero for the team. Cam Good. Cam Good was another unsung hero for the team. Hey, how you doing? I think you got to turn your mic on because I can't hear you. Okay. Um, do me a favor. Go back out and try to come back in, and then that might help with the audio. But I'm interested to hear what get your commentary because we here celebrating that maize and blue. Let's go. So we talking about unsung heroes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Michigan versus everybody. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got to do it. So yeah. So why don't you reload your page and then try to come back in, and then we'll continue. So some more unsung heroes. Josh Wallace, our transfer corner from UMass. That was another unsung hero that really um did his best. And it's hard on transfers, just like it was hard on Jalen Key from Alabama, and he got tripped up when he played us. And Josh Wallace had a lot of moments where we were like, man, why we got this dude in the game? Right? We're a well-oiled machine. Why we got this dude in the game? Well, he got that height, he got that reach, he got that length, and he's going to do everything in his power. And he's a good run defender. And he gave us some quality snaps, man. And he contributed to being an unsung hero of the game, of the Michigan season. Also, hey, yeah, man, come on back in if you want. I'll let you back up, and then we can do our thing. You might want to just check some of your connections to make sure that your mic is on. Sometime it might be like your earpiece or something like that. So another unsung hero. All right, let's see if we can get him on.
Think about Green Bay, young quarterback there. Yep. Defense with a lot of talent. Yeah, first rounders all over.
Hey, how you doing?
What's up? Could you hear me?
Yeah, where you calling from?
I'm Chicago Burbs.
Hey, nice. Tell the listeners we're on 15 social media. We're multi-streaming. We're on 15 social media platforms. Tell the people who you are, and as always, go blue.
UMB Hawks on Twitter. University of Michigan and the Blackhawks.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, man.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I don't do shows normally because I really don't, have the stats that you have. I don't have the insight that you have. If it was about cigars, I could fucking talk all day. Sorry.
I know. I'm jealous, man. I got my brown liquor here, though. Cheers. Cheers to a Michigan victory, man. You got your stove. I got my liquor. Cheers. It's
Cheers,
a long
boss.
time.
Yep. 97.
On a little secret that I'm gonna age myself a little bit. I had the chicken pox watching Michigan lose as a little boy. That's how far back I go. I'm turning 50 this year.
Oh,
so that just tells you how far back I go watching Michigan football. I'm talking Ricky Powers. I'm talking watching Jim Harbaugh as a quarterback at Michigan. Man, it's so great. How sweet it is.
Yeah, you got me by 6 years. I started 92, 93. My dad and I used to go to holiday tournaments here in Chicago for Chicago basketball, Westinghouse, CVS, Farragut, Proviso East, Proviso West, New Trier, just to name a few, St. Joe's. And just happened one year where we're sitting there, CVS ends up concluding one of their games, and this tall kid and his parents sat next to me and my dad, and we just started bullshitting. And long story short, it was Juwan Howard.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah, so I'm like,
nice.
where are you going to school? He's like, Michigan. And Fab 5, here we come.
Fab 5. It was history after that, right?
Yep.
Love that group. Too bad what happened to them, but just awesome. Yeah, right? Oh, if only. If only. So,
What are you
man, we
gonna
went
do?
through a couple of sections in the show. We had our ish talking segment right now. Do you have any ish you want to talk based on the fact that the Wolverines are the college football national champions? You know the type of season we had. Is there any ish you want to talk right now? Get it off your chest. Floor is yours.
Screw Paul Feinbaum.
Right.
Uh,
He's one.
screw that Pete, whatever his name is.
The commentator. What is his name? What's the show that he has? Late
I don't
night something.
I
Yeah.
don't watch many shows, but
Yeah.
Pete, whatever.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yep. Screw him. Okay. We give him the side eye, right? So who else?
Ryan
Who else
Day.
gets the side eye?
Ryan Day, Ohio State.
Ryan Day and his investigative reporting all of a sudden.
All my so-called cigar friends that are Ohio State fans.
Right. He turned into J. Jonah Jameson overnight, Ryan Day, right? When he couldn't whoop us. You know, he's going to report on everything moving in Michigan, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty much it. I mean, there ain't many. I'm happy we did it, and we don't have to look back. And
yeah, man. So we did a Crown 'em King segment, man, and we handed out several awards. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the show, but we crowned them kings, and we talked about how they made our season a misery. And most of the times when you have a team like ours, they would shower you with accolades throughout the season, but that really wasn't the case. Whatever was special about Michigan really didn't get put out in the forefront. So do you have any and this is kind of in the frame of when JJ kind of goes in the end zone and he puts the crown on the offensive player that scores?
Yep.
It's in that frame. So do you want to crown anybody of king of the college football world from Michigan that stood out to you from during the season?
When it came down to big game situations, there was one guy that really produced for us. Might have not have been a productive player through the course of the season, but when it came to big games, this guy was just a baller. Donovan Edwards, bro.
Hey, okay. Donovan Edwards got our Better Late Than Never award.
What he did against Ohio State, what he did against Washington, dude, unreal. When we needed him most,
when we needed him most, better late than never. And that's not a slack award. That's like, very key, very timely. You're there, lightning in a bottle, boom. Anybody else you want to crown king from our team that really stood out to you?
Roman Wilson.
Ooh, I like that. Tell us why.
Look at going into the future. Let's say junior or senior.
He has another year of eligibility, but I think he's coming out.
You're looking at a Julian Edelman type slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking at because of his height and his weight. You're probably looking at a good slot receiver in Wilson. I mean, he's gonna hopefully get to a team where he can make some progress. But it's like any sport, height and weight, bro. It's like going to the NBA when you're 5'8", 190 or whatever he is. It's just it's a coin flip for him.
Yeah, just fearless in that passing game and undervalued by the media at large all season. And what's interesting is most big teams that we played outside of Ohio State, he had more touchdowns than any other number one receiver on any team that we played against. Outside of Ohio State with Marvin Harrison Jr., he had more touchdowns than every receiver on every other team that we played this season. But he still remained underrated. So great pick. Great pick. And we were in the middle of our Unsung Heroes segment. where we were congratulating some of our depth on the team because we had really great young men who came in and who got meaningful snaps, and it paid dividends for us because they could show us their ability to play, and it gave our starters a chance to rest and made our team super dynamic. So, do you have any of our depth pieces or our depth players that you want to salute as an unsung hero? Who stood out to you as a difference maker?
Colston Loveland, especially on third down.
Yeah, he was like our de facto third down receiver this year anyway, right?
I'm trying to repost your to get people to come on here.
Gotcha.
I don't know how many people you got on from Twitter, but I can't see any.
Yeah, it's not, I gotta I'm multicasting, so I'd have to go into each platform to see who's watching and not watching. But we got hella comments, so that's a great thing.
Oh, I can't see anything.
Right. I hear you. That's okay. They see you, and I appreciate you getting on board. Hey,
you send me an invite. I'm not gonna say no.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming. You responded to one of my tweets, and I responded to yours. So I said, let me just send him an invite to see if he'll, wants to come on. And what about Quentin Johnson? What about that hit that he put on Emeka Egbuka in the Ohio State game?
See, you're going back. I can't remember. I got CRS disease.
Yeah, man. So just think about like maybe mid third quarter, and number 2 from Ohio State goes over the middle, and number 28 comes across and just rocks him. And I thought it was Mikey Sanders still at first, but then it was 28 that came up with that hit.
You know who doesn't get much love that I like? Michael Barrett.
Excellent. Cheers to that. Cheers to Mikey Barrett. No doubt. Hey, did you hear he might get a 7th year of eligibility? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Isn't that crazy? How does that work? COVID year.
Yep.
Out of control.
Johnson
would be go ahead.
2-4 to the national champion. 2-4 in the COVID year, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. All the way to here, right? What a ride.
I still can't believe it.
I know. It hasn't like sunk in totally. But we're here to celebrate it, man. We're here to do it, man. I'm gonna go Khalil Mullings for another one of our unsung heroes of the season. Did you see the run in the championship game? Khalil Mullings just dragging people.
You're asking like me to know every single. You get me on your platform to talk, and I have no material.
That's okay, man. We just need your enthusiasm, brother. That's all right. That's all we need. Yeah, man. That's all we need, man. We need that energy. We need that mission. We need that A2 energy in the building, and that's all right. So, where were you at when you were watching the game? Did you go to the game? Were you at home, or you were in your man cave? That's what's up.
My little cigar lounge.
Right.
I went to the Big Ten championship game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I had goosebumps. So I was talking about it for a good 2 weeks, and my wife, who just completed her master's degree at Purdue,
congrats,
is on all these sororities or honor societies, and she had discounted tickets. So I'm looking at tickets, and they're like $90, $100. I'm like, no. So we get to Saturday, and my buddy calls me, and he goes, "Hey, me and my wife are headed up to the game. They live in Ohio, and we've met before. I used to own a cigar company, and I sponsored a Ohio Cigar Mafia cigar club, with my business, and I drove the 4 hours to go meet these guys one day, and I met Rich, and his wife was there, and him and his wife were all dressed up in Michigan gear, and everybody else is like, "Oh, get the hell out of here!" You know, Michigan fans at an Ohio event, there were only like maybe 4 or 5 Michigan fans. So that morning, he calls me and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, we're headed down to the game." I get off the phone. My wife goes, "Who was that?" And I go, "Rich." And she goes, "What did he want?" "Well, he's going to the national championship game in Indiana." She goes, "You know what? Christmas doesn't have to happen on December 25th. She goes, "Go get my prescription at Walgreens. Get the hell out of here."
Hey,
So I was like, "Damn, yeah."
we love
So
that. We love that. You got a hall pass. I love that.
Yep.
That's what's
So
up.
I went online, went to her discounted ticket site. Tickets were like $70. So I purchased a ticket. I got the same row as my buddy, but his seat was 17 and 18. My seat was 4, but we were, you know, within eyes reach of each other where, you know, every time they scored or during halftime, I went over there, spent some time with him. But, dude, the atmosphere was just unbelievable. It was like a sea of blue, a sea of amazing blue. It was crazy.
I know. I heard it on the television telecast, and it sounded like it was only Michigan fans there.
Yeah, it was probably about 85% Michigan fans.
Oh, 5%? That's it?
85.
Oh, 85. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's more like it. That's what it sounded like.
It was
That's
crazy.
what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like.
We were in, or I was in, like, I wouldn't say the upper deck, but there's a picture on my profile of where we were. But I had second row, and it was funny. Right in front of my buddy, there were there's a husband and wife, both all Ohio State gear, and I'm just thinking to myself, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Right.
And then I go over and I'm talking to my buddy Rich, and this guy comes by, and he's just standing over me as I'm sitting down by the steps in the aisle, and he looks at me, and I'm looking at him. He's like, "You're in my spot," and I go, "No, your spot's right here." And my buddy Rich is like 6'5", got to be like 280. He stands up. He goes, "Is there a problem?" The guy goes, "Nope." It goes right to his seat. I'm like, "That's right. Ain't nobody in this stadium. Ain't nobody in this stadium's got your back, bro."
Nice. Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here first on the Big House Breakdown. Great stories by great Michigan fans in the action, in the moment. You know, it doesn't get any better than that. We're gonna jump right into the last segment. We're gonna make this quick because we're right on the end of the show. We're almost in overtime. Yep, 7:35. Give me 2 of your great memories of the season. I'll give you 2, and then we can get out of here.
Beating Ohio State.
Hey, that's always lovely. Love it.
And of course, winning the Natty.
Okay. How can I top that? Well, I gave you one. I gave you the Quentin Johnson hit of Emeka Egbuka. I'm a defensive guy. I played middle linebacker in college, so I'm all about the hits. How about the Mikey Sanderstill hit on Travion Henderson in the Ohio State game?
Yeah.
Ooh, doesn't get better than that. That dude is a Michigan legend. Whether
that pick after the half was over by Will Johnson to stay inbounds and have possession, that because you tell me we're down or we're up 17-10, they get the ball, I'm panicking. They get the ball in the second half when JJ hasn't really done much. And, you know, okay, yeah, we got the 202, 203 yards the first quarter, right? Those were more yards in one quarter than Washington's given up to any running back core that whole year in a whole game.
Right.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's bananas.
Well,
So
if you look
with
at that if you look at that Washington team when they played Utah got after them with that duo concept too, and so did Texas.
I mean,
So
you're playing the 94th ranked defense in the country. You're
right,
gonna run the ball.
right. I saw those teams got after Washington with that concept, and I said, Michigan. That's what Michigan does. Is that split zone duo? I said we're gonna kill them. I said we're gonna kill these people.
I had Donovan Edwards winning the MVP. That was just Blake Corum, kudos, but what Edwards did, man, I don't know.
Well, when you get Donovan in an open field, nobody's catching him. So it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Loved the Coast and Loveland play. I thought he was going to score, but that was awesome. That was an awesome play. So to cap it off, what are your thoughts? Does JJ come back for another year? What do you think?
So being from Illinois and him living, or I don't know if he still lives there, but he's 20 minutes south of me.
That's why I asked you. Yeah.
There was something on Twitter that stated he was coming back.
Lovely.
I'll find that post and I'll repost it.
Loving it. Please do.
Yeah, I don't know if it was from a good source. If Harbaugh stays, I think he comes back, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think Harbaugh is going to stay. I mean,
I heard he might go to the Raiders.
I don't know what he's going to gain by being in the pros. He can make all the money he wants to make here, get paid like those guys, have half the headache. You know what I mean? Really like be endeared to the players that he's coaching instead of having to deal with the excesses of grown men with money problems and all of that. I think he may just wind up staying here. It just might be like he was looking for that big payday. What do you think?
But if he does leave, I think that we don't have a problem with any of our guys leaving to the portal, because look at who we might get if he leaves.
Who do you think?
Sharon Moore, without a question. Without question. And the players love him.
Yeah, he's the heir apparent for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I think either way, we're set.
We're in good shoes. Yep. I agree.
But if Jimmy leaves, he's won the biggest trophy in college football.
Yeah. He did something Bo didn't even do.
But now he might want to go to the NFL and try it there. You can't blame him. He's got nothing else to prove here.
Well, listen, I think he has the opportunity to create a dynasty, if you ask me. Because he's going to return. He's going to return a lot of people who understand his message and can execute what he wants to do and keep that clubhouse in good shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
and have that group rocking as a veteran group. So, and then of course we're going to get more and more talent coming in. I hope we get the wide receiver out of what is it? Idaho or Iowa or wherever it was. The speedy kid.
You have more material than I have.
Yeah, Gatlin Bear is his name, and he's like the fastest player in the country. He runs a sub 10 in the 100, and he is like deciding between Michigan and Oregon. So if we can get that kid, hey, I mean, he could be the next Saban, I think.
Yeah.
If you ask me. And I think that's why everybody was pressing so hard to get rid of him, because they know he can do it.
Well, now we don't have to worry about Washington in the Big Ten because their coach just went to Alabama.
Right. Isn't that something? How round and round we go? Where the wheel stops, nobody knows. Crazy, man. Crazy. I never thought he would take that job because he's king of the mountain. Yeah.
Next plane to Alabama, please.
Right. You want to hear something funny? I'm a Michigan fan, but my daughter goes to Alabama. She attends Alabama. Shout out to baby girl. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, Dave.
All
Love
right.
you.
As long as she doesn't go to Ohio State, we're good.
Right. How about that? That part. Okay. Hey, man, this has been a great episode of the Big House Breakdown, breaking down the national championship game and all things Michigan football. We want to thank B-Hawks. We want to thank everybody that was on all 15 platforms that we broadcast to. Please like, share, and subscribe and comment on this video. Put your comments, timestamp them, give us a like, follow us, whatever you do on your platform of your choice. We are the Big House Breakdown. I'm your man, Vic, and we will see you in another week when we go over our incoming freshmen and transfer portal players.
I'll have material for that if you want me back.
Yeah, come on back, man. I got Adam.
So I have my buddy on Twitter. His name's Tab Bamford. He's a beat writer for the Blackhawks for Bleacher Nation.
Nice.
His grandfather went to Michigan. We actually watched the Rose Bowl game together at the Cigar Lounge. You want to talk about, he's a baseball historian. He's got stories that will blow your mind.
Invite him on. Any Michigan men are welcome here. Let's go. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And as always, go blue.
Hell.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You guys love on each other, and we will see you next time on the Big House Breakdown. Thank you. Have a great weekend.